Tonight we continue our focus on Ecuador, where things are getting so heated in the capital of Quito that the president literally moved his government out of town to the coastal city of Guayaquil after reports that angry residents stormed the General Assembly building there. Tonight we follow up with our man in Ecuador. Here now is RT correspondent Nick Sanchez O'Donovan.
Ecuador remains under state of emergency after days of protests following President Lenin Moreno's decision to scrap fuel subsidies. On Monday, those protests turned into riots as students and other groups violently clashed with police forces. Afterwards, thousands of indigenous people came here to Quito, and violence continued throughout the night as protesters surrounded the presidential palace. The tension was so high that the president decided to move the administrative capital from here, from Quito, to Guayaquil, Ecuador's second largest city.
Vamos a estar hasta las últimas consecuencias.
But what's behind these protests? Well, at the centre of it all is an economic reform package that the government has implemented under a $4.2 billion financing deal signed with the IMF. Ecuador wants to use this money to cope with a large foreign debt and fiscal deficit. Parts of the package include the scrapping of subsidies to gasoline and diesel that have been in place for 4 decades. Under the new scenario, fuel prices have risen sharply. To give us an idea, diesel went up from $1 per gallon to $2.30, and gas went up from $1.85 to $2.39. But the government has said that these prices going up are just due to speculation. But the truth is that we have already seen prices go up in public transport. For instance, a single bus ticket in the Quito metro area went from 25 cents to 35 cents overnight. The rise in fuel prices has triggered a domino effect, and other basic goods are going up in price too, creating uncertainty among the people. But many here say that fuel prices are just the tip of the iceberg, and they disagree with the neoliberal agenda put in place by Lenin Moreno.
Lenin Moreno's neoliberal policies, which followed the dictates of the International Monetary Fund with the elimination of subsidies, affects university students because we're the children of workers and peasants. To increase the already high costs of living and to keep wages as low as they are means that many students can't continue their studies.
That the government leave, that Lenin Moreno leave. We don't want him as president because it has a really negative effect on us.
Now the government is also implementing measures such as tax cuts to balance the higher cost of fuels and incentivize economic growth. But many here say it's too little, too late. Meanwhile, here in Quito, the city prepares for more days of violence. Schools are closed, some businesses have decided to close down too, and public transport is down to a minimum. But for some, protesters here have gone too far and are just using this political unrest as an excuse for violence and vandalism. For others, this is a vital fight for the country's future. Nicolas O'Donovan for the news with Rick Sanchez.